I'll admit it, I can't get enough Sangiovese. In two previous videos, I highlighted some great examples of this grape in Southern Tuscany. Join me for one last spin through Montepulciano in search of great bottles of Sangiovese. Meet new friends, learn about food, and the people behind these great wines. The final chapter of my Tuscan journey starts right now. The journey through Tuscany continues, and today a friend will join me on a visit at Poliziano. One of the family members, Francesco, greets us and tells us a little bit about the winery.
Early 60s, 61 more in particular, my grandfather elevated this building right there. And that was simply because of foreigners wanting the wine from Montepulciano. So Germans, Canadians, people from Switzerland. In the middle of the 90s, that's when the Americans came. But selling wine abroad is what makes us.
My friend, traveler and photographer Serena is joining the visit today, and we get a chance to look at the grapes from the 2021 harvest. Francesco takes Serena and I out to the vineyards, which have gorgeous views of Montepulciano. This year was tough, but Francesco talks about the special qualities of the Poliziano vineyards.
If a bad weather comes through here, it's either staying here a lot and it's sort of overshadowing the entire area, or if it's moving, as soon as it gets here, it sort of goes away extremely fast.
It's like a vortex almost.
We head back to the tasting room. I'm familiar with these wines and have really enjoyed them in the past, but they're totally new to Serena. We start with their standard Vino Nobile di Montepulciano.
Oh, Sangiovese, mi amor. You know I love Sangiovese. Oh, I love Poliziano's Vino Nobile Normale. It's always fruity. Do you actually like that?
Do I like this?
Yeah.
Yes, I love this. It's so nice.
I kind of describe it of the Vino Nobile a little more generous, a little more fruity, a little more super Tuscany. So it's really easy to like. A lot of leather, a lot of cedar type notes. You still get a ton of sour cherry. To me, it's just a quintessential Tuscan wine. I've had this wine in blind tastings a lot of times and it's done really well. I think just offers tremendous value for money and it's easily available.
Serena enjoys wine, but doesn't work in the industry. I believe it's important to taste with people like this, to get a sense of what most consumers really think.
Usually wine expresses itself based on the acidity and the tannins. So the tannins are that thing that dries your mouth, and then the acidity. Have you ever bitten a lemon? The return of the saliva is the acidity. And a good wine is probably those type of wines where you have no extremes in neither terms. You have a really good balance of the two.
We're diving in head first, tasting two of Poliziano's top Vino Nobiles.
I've loved Le Caggioli. I've loved, this is the newest vintage. It's not trying to be something, not trying to be Brunello. It's trying to be something on its own. Plenty of sour cherry, black cherry, earth notes, cedar. I mean, you could go on and on about Sangiovese, but what I love about this wine is the balance between tanninicity. It has grippy tannins, the drying part. It still has so much juicy acidity. Balance is a word that's overused in wine a lot, but this wine, to me, for Big Red, is pretty darn balanced.
I prefer this first. What one of
Asinone?
Yes, the Asinone. I like this because I feel like it's a little sweeter and it smells so good. It has those perfume notes, I suppose.
Would you wear it as a perfume?
Yeah. Should I try it?
Asinone is more prettier. It's not as tannic as harsh.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to like that, like you said. Le Caggioli is a pretty structured wine. It's got a lot of tannins. It's a wine that's built to age. So
It's amazing what people do actually know about wine when you give them space to share.
do you see a difference? Maybe you don't.
This one feels smoother to me. If I were to have to say what's smoother, I would say it's gentler. And this one I think has stronger tannins after. It makes my mouth feel more dry. Coming into this world being such a newbie, it's really, really interesting. Of course I knew it was an art, but now learning more about it and the different layers and how much goes into it, I have such a different appreciation now.
Just south of Montepulciano, you'll find Salcheto Winery. The Sangiovese harvest is in full swing. Owner and winemaker Michele talks about the gentle nature of working with this grape.
The less we crush the skin, the more we have the possibility of extracting phenolics and at the same time we can preserve the natural yeast.
He also shares the philosophy of Salcheto.
Transparency on the one hand and new taste, and integrating them with terroir and varietal, and the transparency is making it simply without any addition. Vino Nobile is, Sangiovese, for its genetic, is a varietal that interpretates up to the detail its terroir. And it's not by chance that we have 140 different clones. It is because over the century it absorbs information and it embeds them into their genetics. So in Montepulciano it's different than Montalcino and Chianti Classico, and here you have freshness and drinkability. So we thought that our Vino Nobile needed to be in this plot.
We take a quick stroll through the vineyard, and Michele talks about the challenge of this vintage.
It's been really dry, right?
This is too much. In the ratio between juice and skin here, 10-15% more of size, you don't perceive it very much.
That's a lot of seed.
So that's actually the problem of a vintage like this.
We take a quick glimpse of the cellar. Salcheto recycles rainwater, and Michele is always looking for ways to save energy.
The fermenters that we're going to soon hear have been developed with Lasi from Venice. One of the sons is a scuba diver, so he was playing with pressure and he had this thing in mind that I picked because I understood that it could create a new renewable energy on the one hand, because we are using the energy produced by the fermentation by constraining it into the vat. It becomes an energy that creates all the dynamics that normally are made by pumping, punching down with pistons, or reversing the cap with emptying and refilling the vat. You do everything by playing with the pressure.
Back up at the tasting room, we're joined by Claudia. Salcheto walks the walk when it comes to sustainability. The bottles are lightweight, without deep punts. This saves on energy during transportation, which is something not talked about in the wine world enough.
100% of Sangiovese.
I'm a huge fan of the standard and Riserva Vino Nobile de Montepulcianos from Salcheto.
The 18. I tasted the 17 last time, so. Your two Vino Nobiles, the Normale and the Riserva, are so nice and round. They're just so easy to drink. I still really like the Riserva a lot. It's a round, easy wine, but yet a little more, it's still serious.
Their top Vino Nobile is called Salco.
I'm excited to taste this because she's got a huge score for this wine. More leathery, a little bit more complex. This is, the bottle I got was oxidized, so it's not the same wine. This is really good on the nose. Big tannins. It's a steak wine. Bistecca.
Tucked away under Montepulciano is Cantine Day. It's the first Vino Nobile de Montepulciano that I ever tasted.
It's not so easy to get here. I thought it would be easier to find.
We are in Tuscany, so...
I meet head sommelier Elena, who shows me around the cellar. Most people think that the harvest happens all at once. However, wineries harvest different plots of grapes at different times. Usually the grapes for top red wines are harvested as late as possible.
Yeah, how much more harvest do you have to do?
15 hectares left, so in 4 or 5 days we will finish.
Today, the grapes from one of Day's top plots are coming in.
Bossona, I'm gonna taste the grapes. Tiny berries this year. Really concentrated. Let's see how the wine is.
Elena takes me down to the cellar, which is impressive.
It's still charcoal.
The founder of the winery, Glauco, obviously had some background with stonework, which Elena will explain to me later. Now I'm just happy taking in the sights and smells.
Is this everything? This is everything.
Yeah.
All the wine.
Yeah, and the Sangiovese is a very delicate grape, therefore it changes a lot, not only according to the place where you grow it, but also how you treat it during the refining process.
But why all the marble?
Their family deals with marble since ever. They have quarries in Serra di Rapolano and Rome as well. As far as the wine business, everything started in the 60s when his father, Alibrando, planted the first vineyard in Bossona. But at the beginning, the family didn't make the wine. He just used to sell the grapes. In the 80s, Glauco, he asked himself, why should I sell some beautiful grapes and obtain maybe not the best wine? Maybe it's better to try to make the wine by myself.
Elena sets up some shade and starts pouring the rosé.
I find myself drinking a lot more rosé lately. I don't know why. And it's so food friendly, right? And so crisp.
And the Vino Nobiles.
Okay, thank you. This is actually quite touching that I'm here. This is the first ever Vino Nobile de Montepulciano I had years ago. Day for me is a little bit of a bigger style, not too big, but it's a little bit bigger. It's tobacco, cedar notes, a little bit of caramel even. This is a nice wine for people who want introduction in the region because it's pretty round, pretty quote unquote silky, has some tannin that bites, but has this real round mouthfeel. I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy it.
One of the family members, Caterina Day, joins us.
You know that the name for Sangiovese in Montepulciano is Prugnolo Gentile. So Prugnolo goes back to Prugna, which is the plum. So the plum is the main characteristic flavor of the Vino Nobile, together with cherry fruits, with the red berries, and Gentile. It is gentle.
Now the Bossona Vino Nobile de Montepulciano Riserva. I tasted the grapes from this vineyard earlier in the visit.
This smells like exactly how you described Prugnolo Gentile, like you want. More like red plum, black cherry. I think the wines from Day also have just a lot of, that's good actually. A lot of success with people because they're so round. They have tannin, but they're nice and round. Oh, that's really good. Don't surrender your prejudices. I usually like Sangiovese with sour cherry, flavors, but this is quite good.
Now Elena pours Day's Super Tuscan blend, the Sancta Catarina. It's a Bordeaux blend combined with Sangiovese.
So we had the baby vines come from France. So we had the Cabernet Sauvignon, the Merlot, and the Petit Verdot come from France. I said, let me taste it, let me try it. If I like it, I'll call it Santa Catarina. If I don't like it, you can give it your name. I don't care. So I definitely liked it.
Some people just hate the whole Super Tuscan. But I like it. I have to. Yeah, I think the wine's very good, to be honest. A lot of graphite, tangerine, but you still get Sangiovese. And then black cherry, but the graphite. Once again, feeling guilty because I love Sangiovese so much, and Landa Sangiovese. I really like a a Tuscan blend.
Caterina's other passion is music, and she serenades me as I sip on the wine with her namesake.
Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich, and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
In the evening, I head over to Cortona for a bite to eat. This hilltop town was the site of the book and film Under the Tuscan Sun. In the central square is a local favorite, Taverna Panna e Vino. I'm by myself, but with an atmosphere like this, I don't mind. The food's pretty darn good too. I start with the local pasta pici and a glass of Sangiovese. The texture of this pasta reminds me of hand-rolled noodles in Southeast Asia. Next is the braised beef, cooked perfectly in Sangiovese, and I finish with a glass of Vinsanto. What an incredible end of the trip. Sangiovese was my first love when it comes to Italian wine. My palate's never wavered, and I still love it even more. So get out there, try some Vino Nobile, try Sangiovese, and enjoy. I'll see you at the next episode.